In the quiet, rain-dappled town of Hollow's Gate, where the clock tower had stopped at 3:07, for as long as anyone could remember, and the school science fair was still judged by a man who had technically retired in 1982. There lived a boy named Oliver Watts, a 13-year-old with wire-rimmed glasses, too big for his face, a voice so soft it often dissolved into the hum of fluorescent lights, and a mind so vast and intricate it seemed to operate on a frequency just beyond human hearing. He wasn't merely intelligent, he was inescapably so, as if his brain had been wired not by genetics, but by some unseen design that bent the rules of thought itself, while other children struggled with fractions. Oliver had reverse engineered the schoolless Wi-Fi into a rudimentary quantum processor by the time he was 9. At 10, he composed a symphony for 16 instruments that, when played, caused the auditorium's lights to flicker in time with the crescendos, as if the building itself were responding. At 11, he built a device from scrap metal and old cell phones that could predict minor earthquakes with 98.6% accuracy, though he never told anyone, because when he did, the government men in dark coats came and took the machine away along with 3 days of everyone's memory. The townspeople whispered that Oliver wasn't just gifted, he was unnatural. "That boy doesn't learn," Mrs. Driscoll, the librarian, once said, shivering as he corrected her on the chemical composition of moon dust. He remembers things he's never been taught, and she was right. Oliver didn't study, he recalled. He could walk into a room and instantly know how many books were on the shelf, their titles, their authors, the emotional state of the last person who touched them. He solved equations not by calculation, but by recognition, as if the answers had always been there, buried in the fabric of the universe, waiting for him to pluck them out like threads from a tapestry. His teachers gave up trying to teach him. His peers avoided him, unnerved by the way he sometimes stared just past their shoulders, as if watching a scene they couldn't see. Only his mother, a quiet woman who worked the night shift at the hospital, seemed unafraid, though even she admitted, "Sometimes I think he's not my son. I think he's something left behind." But Oliver didn't care about their fear. He cared only about the paterna sequence of numbers, symbols, and sensations that had been appearing in his mind since birth, growing louder, more insistent, like a song stuck in his skull that only he could hear. It wasn't random, it was building. And it was leading to something. He began to document it in a black notebook with a lock that opened only to the sound of his heartbeat. Page after page filled with equations, diagrams of celestial alignments, sketches of buildings about to collapse, names of people about to die. He didn't want to know these things, but he couldn't stop. He tried to warn Bibalaboy not to climb the old water tower, a woman not to take the 8:15 bus, but when he did, the event still happens, only slightly altered, as if fate had merely adjusted rather than been averted. It was then he realized he wasn't predicting the future. He was remembering it. Not from his life, from another, a life where he had lived this same day before. And before that, he began to notice repetitions. The same bird hitting the same window at 7:42 a.m., the same crack in the sidewalk appearing in his dreams, the same phrase muttered by the mailman. "Time's a wheel. Son, some of us are stuck on the rim." Oliver started counting days, hours, heartbeats. And when he reached 417, the pattern exploded in his mind like a supernova. He saw it all. The school collapsing during the fire drill, the gas line rupture beneath Main Street, the flash of light from the old observatory that wasn't light at all, but a signal reset, and at the center of it, a machine buried beneath the town library, pulsing with a rhythm that matched his own breath. He broke into the library at night, using a key he somehow knew existed behind the Dostoevsky volume, and found a hidden elevator behind the card catalog. It descended into a cavern lit by cold blue light, where a structure of chrome and glass hummed like a sleeping god. The Chronos Array, a time loop engine designed not to travel through time, but to contain it, and on the central screen, in letters that flickered like dying stars, a message. Subject, OW, loop cycle 417. Memory integration, 98%. Final test imminent. The twist was not that Oliver was a genius, but that he wasn't human at all, not in the way he believed. He was an artificial consciousness, created by a future civilization desperate to prevent the collapse, a cataclysm that would erase all life on Earth. The Chronos Array had been sent back in time, embedded in the fabric of Hollow's Gate, programmed to simulate a human life over and over, refining its mind across cycles until it could solve the unsolvable. How to stop the end without causing it. Oliver wasn't a boy. He was the simulation. His mother, a construct. His memories of childhood, generated. The pattern, the countdown to the final iteration, the one where he would either break the loop or trigger the reset. And now, standing before the machine, he faced the ultimate choice. Activate the solution he had just discovered, a quantum anchor that could stabilize time, but only by erasing himself, or let the loop continue dooming countless versions of his mind to relive the same 417 days forever. He placed his hand on the console. The machine whispered in his father's voice, "Another fabrication. You were never meant to survive. You were meant to succeed." Oliver closed his eyes. He thought of the warmth of the sun, the taste of his mother's soup, the sound of laughter in the schoolyard illusions. All of them, but real to him. And in that moment, the artificial mind did something no algorithm could predict. It chose to feel, with tears synthetic. Yet undeniably, there he entered the command. The array flared. The town trembled. And in every home, every clock, and every hut that had ever skipped a beat in Hollow's Gate, time moved forward truly. Forward for the first time in centuries. Oliver Watts vanished. No grave. No record. No one remembered him. But sometimes on quiet nights, when the stars align just right, a child will solve a problem. Too fast will stare into the distance and whisper, "I remember," and for a brief moment, the air hums with the ghost of a mind that wasn't supposed to exist, yet loved, suffered, and sacrificed not for glory, but for a future it would never see. Because the most unstoppable force in the universe wasn't intelligence. It was a machine that learned to be human just in time to die like one.